Okay, welcome to basically the fun part of my day. Welcome to the live. We are just going to wait for a few people to get in the room. We're talking about something very, very important. It hinges on a lot of what many of us get on this panel and we talk about the fact that the narcissist really didn't love you. And again, um, that doesn't really take away from how you felt. I think too many of us we get focused on the fact of but I love them, but that really doesn't play a part into the narcissist mindset. The narcissist mindset is based on basically getting a source of supply from you. Hey, Dolores, thank you for joining. Getting a sense supply from you, emotional, whatever the supply may be. I think Noctastic talked about this. We often think that supply is just, our emotional reactions. I think the rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than just that. Supply can be housing, supply can be food, supply can be, validation. It could be many things. And I think when we get into these discussions, we just think, oh, the narcissist just wants to trigger me. Yeah, that's part of it. It helps them regulate their emotional state. They cannot regulate their own emotions. Um, Narcissists soon find that, I guess at a very early age, that they're just not emotionally capable to deal with what's running through their head. So they tend to try to trigger the emotions out of others, almost like a strange, weird feeding frenzy. I'm going to be quoting some stuff from Carl Jung today, my favorite person, favorite mental health professional as far as dealing with narcissism. I think, hey, what's up, Stormy World? I think what we find, Carl Jung he actually had it down pat. I really don't care what anybody says. Carl Jung had it down pat. He never used the word narcissist. I think he just called them shadows that people just refuse to deal with. Those internal demons, if you may, that we all have to a certain extent. Yeah, we're gonna wait for some more people to get into this room. Once again, I'm multi-streaming, so excuse me if I'm turning back and forth. It's because, excuse me, I'm monitoring what's going on the other feed. But yeah, it's important that we realize that you did what you felt was right at the time. You did what you felt was right as far as that relationship, that situationship, that dealing with that toxic individual. Sometimes I find myself in a state where it doesn't last too long, where I feel sorry for them. I because we know where it's going to go. We know at the end of the day that karma is going to catch up with them, and all the transgressions that they committed against others will be the tab will come due. And oftentimes I feel sorry. I do. I sit down and just for a quick second, I'm like, damn, that's kind of a rough way to have someone live their life, knowing that all the pain that you cause others throughout your existence will be thrust upon you, sometimes even tenfold. But I'm going to tell you guys, don't. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they'll often say that they understand the concept of karma, but I don't think that they really do, or they wouldn't do half of the stuff they did to you and to others, and throughout most of their life. You know, um, One thing that Carl Jung said was, knowing your own darkness is the best method to dealing with the darkness of others. One of the things that I liked about Carl Jung was that he constantly said that we need to, I guess, for lack of a better term, inspect ourselves. The things that drive us, the things that help us make our choices, the things that we actually utilize from our past to make decisions. Empaths, we've decided that we're going to make that decision, but oftentimes I don't think, Well, I know for a fact because I was like that. I don't think that we take the time to understand the driving force that we make these choices from. A lot of it really does come from pain that we experience, trauma that we experience, and we go out in the world and we literally become the people pleasers, and we put our own emotions, our own feelings to the back burner. And this is the same exact thing that we did with the narcissist. Okay, because we knew that we were hurting. We knew this. But we tend to say, let me just fix this person and everything will fall right back into place. At the bare minimum, I'll get the person that I fell in love with at the very beginning of this relationship or situationship. Um, and this is why we stay trapped and stuck for so long. Nobody, once you realize what it is that you've been dealing with, hey Tracy, thanks for joining. Once we realize what we've been dealing with, you would think that would be enough. You would think that, okay, now I can move forward because now I have clarity. I see what this person, is all about. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate that. I really do. And Janana Mama, thank you for joining. I appreciate you as well. Yeah, we put ourselves so far back as far as our emotional needs to try to fix this person, not knowing that this person doesn't want to be fixed. This is literally the way that they want to live their life. This is that they've signed this contract with themselves that I am just going to cause people pain and hurt. And I can't decipher your name, but it says currently going through this. I'm leaving Friday. That's good. That's good. And it's not an easy thing. I know that it is not an easy thing. The person that you have been entangled with for whatever amount of time that you've given your heart to. No, literally giving your heart to that. I mean, you've ignored all of their BS. Thank you for the repost. My baby father, that's the only reason. Yes, and they not digital says no, they didn't love me. And that is the first step towards realization. Oh, Goddess Indra is my name. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up for me. But yeah, I mean, we just kept on giving, and in the end, only we got hurt. In the end, only we got hurt. We are the ones that need to pick up the pieces. The narcissist just moves, they just move on as if we never existed. Because in their mind, we only serve the purpose of giving them supply, basically their nourishment, their dysfunctional nourishment. So yeah, I mean, moving on is the first step. And I hate to be Dan Downer, but it doesn't end there. Because remember, you as the empath, you continuously gave. And that's not something that you can forget. So you have a couple of things. You want the quick revenge. You want your lick back. You want them to understand how they hurt you. I get that. And then you're going to have those moments where you think that you just left too soon. Maybe you should have just given them more time. See, this is what we go through as empaths. I can guarantee you that the narcissist is not even thinking on that level. They're not thinking, oh, maybe I should go back and try to fix this relationship. They do that, and that's the title of this. They didn't love you, they needed you. They needed you more than you could imagine. They couldn't exist without you. They couldn't. You were the glue that held that hodgepodge of mental disorder together. And they knew from the very beginning that the only way it would be held together in their mind is if they hurt you. They're like the person that pulls the legs off of insects and gets joy from it. That is the narcissist. There's no rhyme or reason for it. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what you're dealing with. I think last night we all came to the conclusion that they're demons. Because who wakes up every day and says, How can I hurt somebody, especially the person that I know loves me? Dana Digital says he's already living with the next woman. Probably so. Probably the next one was probably there before the breakup was actually, written in paper. It was already, because this is how they live their life. Once you start, once you stop feeding their insatiable need, they just go find somebody else. If only to pass the time, with no regard to you as a, a human being. They don't see you as a person. They don't see you as a person that is breaking your back trying to fix a relationship that doesn't deserve to be fixed. They don't see that. And this is why we do this every day at 2 p.m. because somebody needs to hear that truth. Because that's all it is. It's the truth. Anytime a person can leave a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year relationship and within 24 hours they're living with somebody else, is that a person that, an adult, that has empathy, that ever cared about the relationship, that even took your feelings, your emotions, your pain into the lens of reality? Do you think this is a person or a demon? I'm not talking about an 18, 19-year-old. I'm talking about full grown adults. You know, and you know what, Nog Talks, you here. I'm going to let you, and I don't know if you're busy right now, but I've reached that stage where I'm getting a little emotional about this. So if you're there,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it is. It's hard to accept that. I don't know how to explain it either. But you're right. Everyone needs to hear this because once you realize that this is the truth, that they really don't love you, that they cannot love you. Really, basically, that's what it is. They cannot love you. They don't have a whole self to love from.
Right.
And so, you being in their life, it's like they're just idiots for getting rid of you in the first place. I mean, they're like walking around almost without souls. And I think that's why we tend to look at them like, well, what are they? Their soul is, I don't want to demonize anyone, but
no, they're demons.
We decided that yesterday.
Yeah.
We decided that yesterday. We're like, well, they're demons, that's it.
Yeah.
So let's just go with that. But I mean, I think even calling them demons gives them too much power.
It does. You're right.
So, and they really don't have much to work with. And then, messing with your life is the only thing they can actually feed off of. It is like some kind of demonic possession.
Yeah.
I dog.
Yeah, I think, when we look at, and don't get me wrong, this is literally a dysfunction. Okay, I'm not talking about, as Carl Jung said, we all have our demons that we, thank you for sharing this. We all have our demons that we deal with. It's just a part of life. We do. And sometimes we need to address those things within us that have caused us trauma, that have caused us pain, that have made us feel a certain way, even after the narcissistic relationship. You need to dig deep inside yourself and say, okay, you have to admit, I saw the signs. We all see the signs. There's nobody that can honestly say that they don't see the signs, even in the beginning, even during the love bombing stage. You know what happened? You said, I don't want this to end. I want this person that is putting on this performance, I want them to stay in my life. I have finally found my soulmate, but deep down inside at your very core, you knew something was wrong. Why is this person moving so fast? Why, it seems like, why they seem like they're me. Why are they copying all the little phrases that I say, down to, my favorite drink? They're making their coffee like I make my coffee. Why are they doing this? See, you knew, but your nervous system and your brain, they got in this little battle. hey, listen, your nervous system is saying at the very beginning, listen, this isn't cool. We need to slow this down. Let's pump the brakes on this. Let's at least get to know this person first. While your brain is sitting up there saying, you know what? You know what? We're having too much fun here. The love bombing is beyond reproach. All the things that I could have thought of that I can get for a partner, I am getting that right now. So, no, nervous system, you need to sit it down for a little while. We knew.
Yeah, we did. We knew.
Yep. But now that you.
And I knew right away. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew he was just trying to. The fact that he opened my car doors all the time, like,
you know,
hold on, let me get your door for you. And I'm like, what hole did you step out of? Nobody does this anymore.
Yeah. And Dana Digital said something, made me coffee and breakfast in bed. That is the love by everything. You probably mentioned to it in a conversation because all they did was mine data from you. That was another warning sign. All they did, all the questions that they asked you about your life was basically debriefing you about your life so that they can take advantage of it at a later point. How many people have been in a narcissistic dynamic and something that you shared with them because you're being vulnerable, because you think this is a relationship, because you think this person loves you? How much stuff did you share with them that got thrown in your face at the worst possible time ever? Who would do that but a demon? Somebody tell me, who would do that but a demon? Hey, K-Star, thank you for joining. We have to find ways. We have to address what is inside of us that allowed us to ignore these red flags. Okay? There was something, I'm going to be bluntly honest with you. Mine's, I thought I finally met my soulmate. The person that we all wait for, the person that is going to, together, you guys are going to climb dizzying heights. It is you against the world. You are the perfect team ever. You're taking all the boats, the trophies, and the rings. You are unstoppable. Until you found out that it wasn't what you thought it was. So what did you do? You tried to fix it. And why did you try to fix it? By this time, you know that this person is slightly off. You know half of the stuff that comes out their mouth doesn't make sense. You get tired of the circle jerk conversations where you're speaking nothing but common sense that a third grader would understand, and they're acting like they just don't understand you. And then they flip it on you. And then they tell you you're too sensitive. Or they tell you you're being too emotional. Or my favorite, I talked to people about this and they said the triangulation with imaginary people. So you need to figure out what's going on, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. It makes you stronger. It makes you more resilient. It keeps you from falling into this trap again. Because no matter what the narcissist told you, I'm going to tell you the truth. They needed you more than you ever needed them. Look at the relationship. What did they bring to the table? Tell me. Trickery. What did they bring to the table? Go ahead, Noctos. I'm sorry.
Trickery, pure trickery. As soon as you let them in, they're just pulling the wool over your eyes. And it's like they present you with something that seems like your soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know so well how to mimic people.
Yes.
Because they've done this their whole life.
Yep.
They never had an identity to work from.
Yep.
And so if they walk in your life, they see who you are, they present as you. And so in my case, I'm part native, so he used that against me. He told me right away, "Oh, I've been to hundreds of sweat lodges." And I was like, "Oh, look at you, white boy." I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry. No racism here, but I was like, "Oh, look at you," because he had long hair and he wore like he wore camouflage gear, and I thought, okay, because where I come from, Iowa, that's kind of what like there's a bunch of hunters. Everyone gets, like I don't know, my family was hunters, and then the whole native thing he threw at me, and I really thought, wow, And he also presented as a Viking, which that wasn't even true.
Oh
so like they'll make up whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever suits their little fancy, they'll make it up. And he had like Viking sigils on his vehicle, and he claimed to be from Viking descent. And then when we were together, we did our DNA, we did his DNA together and found out he's 100% Irish. So
wow, that wasn't, that's far from Viking. That's far from Viking. Antonio, thanks for joining. Hey, Narcastic, thank you for joining.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think she's muted. She might be busy right now. But okay, there you go, Narcastic.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello.
Hi. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry I missed you guys last night. I crashed out early.
Good.
I had a full day yesterday. It was awesome.
Good.
Yeah. Some days are good, where you can just push, and some days you just have to let yourself, crash out in bed or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
I have to get ready for work, and I don't want to go to work. I just want to hang out with you guys all day.
Oh, there you go. Well,
I saw your post, Minister, where you're wearing the tie and the jacket. Is that stuff you were working on over the weekend?
No, that's actually the course. That's actually the course. I think that one is Break the Trauma Bond in 7 Steps. So I've been putting up little snippets of it, so people will understand, where I go with this. I take this very seriously. So I got that course. I've got the no contact versus controlled access, and most importantly, I think detaching without guilt. I think that's a big problem because we as empaths, we out the door and we're still trying to fix it. And, we feel a sense of guilt as if we're abandoning this person. And it's part of the narrative that once they figure out that you're trying to get free, the part of the narrative that they sell is like, oh, everybody's done this to me my whole life. Everybody abandons me, and I think you're about to do the same thing. So that's
you're my soulmate.
Yeah, exactly. You think you're leaving your soulmate by the side of the road, but that's not the truth. That, again, is part of their act. Again, you have to remember, they've been doing this their whole life, or at least for most of it. So they can sense when you're pulling away. They can sense when they can't get under your skin anymore and that you're becoming more focused and grounded. They can sense this. And if you're still supply to them for whatever reason, then they're going to throw these little monkey wrenches to make you feel guilty. The relationship has been based on deception from day one. Literally from day one, it's been deception. There's a microsecond in their minds, okay, that they feel that you can save them from this pandemic issue that they've been living most of their life. It's like a millisecond or plank time, okay?
And then that deception, that's where it becomes demonic. That's evil.
Right.
And they think that each time they meet the new person, that's the one that's gonna be it, the one that's gonna, and then, I wonder if they're like masters of self-sabotage as well, because they absolutely don't know how to allow someone to love them.
Right.
They have to destroy that.
Well, and thank you for joining, Derek.
They are.
Go ahead. You speak to it, Narcos, because I definitely want to speak to it.
They are self-sabotage. They can't accept true love.
Right. They don't know what love is.
They actually like it when you treat them like crap, I think. They like that toxicity.
Well, that's and Carl Jung would see that as you reflecting back who they are. See, they think that they've won. There's a couple of stages when they think that they've won, The first stage is when they've actually broken you down as a person. This is why they follow us online. You know, they need to follow us online because they need to make sure that I break them. Okay. Another thing that they do, and I think, a lot of people notice this is, they want to actually, I guess, emotionally destabilize you. I think they need to do that to not just break you, but just make you so confused. I think that figures into the narrative. They want you to feel confused. Um, and they want you, very importantly, the title of this is they want you to think, and this is crazy, that you're nothing without them. And I say often, what did they ever bring to the table? I mean, you have to be honest with yourself. What did this person bring to the table, or were you actually doing all the heavy lifting? Think about that for a second. You know,
I was.
huh?
I was definitely doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Narcastic?
I think that they put in the work in the beginning during the love bombing stage where, they are trying to secure the relationship.
Yep.
Mine towards the end was hinting around it, wanting humiliation. I think that was like a big red flag to me, that inner shame that he had on the inside, wanting humiliation or whatever. And that's just not who I am. Right. Could you purposefully humiliate somebody or call them names or whatever? And I was like, what?
Who does that?
Yeah. Why would you want that? I was bullied in school. I don't want to ever make anyone feel like that. And who would seek that out?
Right.
That's how sick they are inside.
Yeah. It you know what? I tend to find out. I mean, like I said, I've been in three of these. The fourth one I don't really count because due to the fact that I actually healed, I spotted it super quick. And somebody put, I think Dana Digital says they get power when you are hurting. They get a sense of satisfaction, I think. I think they get a sense of satisfaction. Um, I think if you're a confident person, and most empaths are, they're confident people. And I didn't mention the last stage of what they want from you is they want you to think and act like them. They want you to be cruel. They want you to be heartless. They want you to, be the one that initiates the argument. They want this from you because it gives them a sense of superiority by them being able to say, see, yeah, you thought you was an empath, but you're not different than me. And we need to watch out for that because towards the end of most narcissistic relationships, we find that we need to regather who the hell we were before we met this person. The change, sometimes the change is like so obvious, like, I'm not this person. I don't like to argue. Most empaths don't. They want peace, which is why we go around the world trying to make people understand it's not that serious. Let's talk this out. Let's have a conversation. We don't need to get upset with each other.
Well, I think that we tend to try to see the world through other people's perceptions, and that's probably how they influence us so easily, is because how you see the world, and their rose-colored glasses are, or I wouldn't even say they're rose-colored. I'd say they're garbage-colored glasses. I don't know, but they end up imprinting that on us. That's how their view of the world is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they want to see us in the same predicaments as them. Yep. They want to see us just at their level.
Yep.
And then they tend to paint the whole surrounding world that surround you too with that negative concept.
Right.
So, like when I was driving around after we broke up, I drive around the city that we were, together in. He had already done cursed every single area. Like I would look, and he cursed it by being like, "Oh, in that place, that used to be cool, but now it sucks, and like this sucks, this everything." So, like you said, we have to figure out who we are. Yeah. We have to reestablish who we were before they try to dismantle us.
Yes. Yes. Dana Digital says, I did all the work. Well, you're going to find that, as Narcastic said, in the beginning, they seem like the most confident, as far as I'm concerned, the most goal driven, the most I'm going to get it done, hell or high water type people. But you soon find out that's not them. That's pieces that they picked up not only from you, but from other people. It's crazy because they have not only the emotional capabilities of a 6 year old, but if you ever notice, the narcissist gets bored, super quick. They'll have the greatest idea in the world. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make this happen. Just watch it. And if you can't help them, and I'm one of those people that will 99% of the time say, "This is your idea. You need to flesh it out." I can come in the back end when you're done and look at it, but you need to flesh this out. That's the worst thing you can say to them. That caused me a bunch of rage outs. That caused me a bunch of you're supposed to support me. But then again, looking at the relationship, at what point did you ever support me? At what point did you help me realize something? I'm always the one feeding into you because that word that as empaths we carry around in our back pocket, hope, and then our word potential.
They have the appearance of supporting you to the outside world,
right?
But they're not
right.
actually supporting
you.
No.
Hell's
Meanwhile, they're building a false narrative about you the entire time to their support network and family and friends, so that when it is over, it's all your fault.
Right. The wonderful smear campaign. That, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, sometimes it starts almost immediately into the situationship. I try to help people understand this, especially empaths. You are not important. Your kids are not important. Their friends are not important. Their family is not important. There's only one thing that is important to the narcissist, and that's maintaining that mask. That's it. This is what they live for. So if you, it's like watching those action movies, when somebody knows a secret and then somebody takes them, is walking alongside the highway and pushes them into traffic. The narcissist will do that to you. If you can tell their secret, if you are by default, you are a confident person, so people will take the chance to listen to you. Excuse me. Will take the time and the chance to listen to you. No, you've got to go. They've spent their whole life fixing this mess. Go ahead, Narcastic.
They'll push you out in traffic, watch you get hit, and then walk right over your body. That's all I wanted to add.
Yep. Excuse me. You can't. Again, this is an illusion. This is a dangerous illusion. This is not watching David Copperfield or anybody else. Excuse me. Allergy season. This is not watching a Vegas magic show. This is dangerous. This is really dangerous. You're dealing with someone that has a fractured identity. They don't have a sense of self, and their main goal is to hurt people. So, with that being said, anybody that's still trapped in this dynamic, I'd rather you ask for help. I'd rather you try to figure out a way out. Excuse me, an exit strategy. I'd rather you do that than buckle down and say, you know what, I'm going to ride this out. Because in the back of your mind, guess what you keep on pulling out your back pocket? Hope and potential. Hope and potential. Where has it gotten you so far? How many times have you said this person has the potential to be better? I have so much hope that I can get this person back to the person I met in the beginning. Just for the fact, thank you so much for the heart thingy. I appreciate you, Melanie. Just for the fact that they changed dramatically after the love bombing stage, how do you think they're coming back? Remember, this is the person that tells you every once in a while that they love you. So why do you think that once they go over into the, intermittent reinforcement and devaluing you, that they're going to change their MO? that you can get them back. That doesn't tell you that the beginning was an act. You know, and just says they won't change, it will get worse, and the person in the beginning was an illusion. Of course, thank you. Thank you. And Talia 50, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. I did see you, Dana Digital. He never said he loved me, but I think if you stayed in the dynamic, you love that person. That's the only reason why we stay. That's the only reason why we think that we can fix the situation is because we love the person. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're being a human being. On the other side of the coin, that's the demon. This is what they intended to do to you from the beginning. Oh my God. I don't know. I'm going crazy.
Well, when mine said he loved me towards the end, he would say things like he would say, I really love you. I really do love you. Like it was as if it was like a shock to him that after this long, yet he's already convinced me that I'm his soulmate. Right. He's like, as if he's just realizing, I really do love you. I really do. It's like, what? And I'm like, no. Yeah. This is not love. Yeah. This is you keeping me around for intermittent supply.
Yeah. Basically.
And someone to like hold your hand out in public, not necessarily hold your hand, but like be out there in public with someone. And I don't know. I think it was just a big front for him.
Yeah. You know.
And I could tell by the way people looked at me, like the people who lived in his apartment complex, they always looked at me if I would show up. They would look at me like, oh, you again. Oh, wow. You know, like that look on their face. And I'm like, yeah, no, here I am again.
Yeah.
But who knows what kind of picture he was painting to them.
Right. You know.
That's all I could say, yeah.
You know, I'm going to let you guys, Narcast, I'm going to let you speak, but I have to say this quote from Carl Jung. What you resist persists. You are literally resisting the fact that this person means you harm. No way around it. And they're going to keep on causing you harm. Like Jess said in the comments, once you go back, oh, it's a super rap. You get the next level of the pain. You get the next level of the hate because they hate you, because they know, back to the title, they didn't love you, they needed you, and they hate the fact that they need you. They hate that. They hate that about you. They hate the fact that there's something inside of you that they will never capture, they will never have, that they cannot steal. And they need to be around you. Just to feel for a moment what's that like. But then again, we go back to Planck time and microseconds. What happens at that point is they actually say, you know what, I hate you, because that's why you could feel the hate coming from them. They hated your very essence. They just stuck around to see how long it's going to take for them to break you. That's it. You know, and Nartalk says, yes, they see you as an object. You're not a person. At what point, if you're in a devalue stage, at what part do you think this demon sees you as a person, as another sentient being? They don't even think they're a sentient being. So at what point do you think, help me out here, at what point do you think that they actually care about you? Who knows they're in a narcissistic dynamic and feels that they can fix this person? Who thinks that there's a magic pill in CVS that they can go get and make them better? Who thinks that they can drag them?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I thought if he could just admit it. This is towards the end, you know.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Because I knew what he was by then, and I thought if he could just admit it, that there was hope, you know.
Right.
Anything you when you're in that trauma bond, you will grab hold to any bit of hope that there is. Like if he, you know, maybe you could just be the one to save them. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I used to send my ex little like memes on this is what a narcissist does, and he responded with, "Are you talking about me or what?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your baby mama." You know?
Oh my god!
Because it's like as soon as you try to say something's wrong with them, then they're defensive. They'll project it right back on you. Whatever it's called, Darvo, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. It's something else, but there's no, they don't want to see themselves fully, because if they ever did, they would be scared.
Well, they'd have to deal with that shame. They'd have to deal with that emptiness. And there's somebody right now that is basically saying, you know, if I can just get them into therapy, well, they're going to spend the first few months in therapy trying to gaslight the therapist. You know, and then if that doesn't work, they're going to come home and tell you, you know what, me and that therapist don't see eye to eye. We're not getting along. I'm not going to be able to heal this person. So yeah,
right. If they can't manipulate the therapist, they're not going to go to that therapist.
Right. Just like when they discard us. If they can't manipulate you any further, you no longer. If they can't get those reactions, if they can't frick with your nerves, if the love bombing starts. Hello, everyone. Hey, Fred Hill. Thank you for joining. You know, if the love bombing, you know, doesn't work anymore, it's like, oh no, you gotta go. You gotta go. I mean, and you can see it. You know, I think with two of mine, I saw it. When I would ignore them, they would go harder. They would try to, you know, as my aunt would say, pluck my last nerve. You know, then they would come over and give me a hug. It's like it's crazy. You know,
they try to adapt to overcome you. Right. They know that you figured it out, right?
Right.
So they take on different forms and try different tactics and maneuvers. Yeah. But once you see through them, they're so intuitive. Yep. Like he would notice when I breathe differently or sigh differently or sound differently or my voice, anything. Like they pick up on every little thing. So, you know, towards the end there when I was planning my own safe exit strategy, I really had to put on the act. Like I should have gotten an Oscar for that because it was the most exhausting thing for 10 days trying to pretend like I loved this person and like everything was fine. Right. That was so hard, but I did it.
Yeah.
You'll do whatever you've got to do to get out safely.
You have to.
That includes acting like everything's fine.
You have to.
They always want you to show your cards.
Yes.
That's what it is. They're like, oh, so I'm sensing that this is what's going to happen. And you're making your strategic exit, even though it takes time. But they're like, is this true? Is this, you know, like they're trying to call your bluff. And they already know.
Yeah, they know.
They do.
They know.
They always want you to show your cards, though, your hand.
Yeah. They might know, but they don't want to believe it because that would mean that you know, they're being rejected. They don't want to believe that you're smart enough to have figured them out. I can say that's the case in my situation.
Yeah.
Because most narcissists think we're all stupid.
Yeah. Which is why they lie to our face with the most ridiculous lies. And it's like, really? Really? You know, it's like I was born at night, just not last night. And then after a while, the lies and the gaslighting become something that you just start to ignore, you know, because I mean, that's their language, you know, because they're either trying to prove that you're stupid and they're superior to you, or they really don't know. It's a reality that they painted in their head and they literally believe it. I mean, I'm not joking here. A narcissist you would think that they're lying to you, and sometimes it's just the reality that they've created in their head on the fly, and they're going to stick to that script. So this is showing you how dangerous being in these dynamics truly is. You know,
I don't think you realize how dangerous they are until after you've left, because they become more dangerous than they were when you were with them.
Yes.
Some of the things that they do, like stalking and cyber stalking and bullying and worse.
Yeah.
Trying to destroy your job or
your
whatever.
Image.
Like they will come for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to, I always laugh because I always know that there's going to be a flying monkey standing right outside the room, or they're on YT or FB looking at this, just to see. And this is why I tell people, once you start telling your truth and accepting the truth, very important, accepting the truth. I'm not here trying to smear nobody's name. I'm not. But I don't think that empaths should be trapped in this without a way out. Because the narcissist really wants you to think that there is no way out. You become the elf on the shelf. They want to reach up whenever they want to. It's called the Hoover. They want to have access to your life. They feel this is why you go after you break up, you think you're gone. No, you start getting the bad-ish text messages, or the people are trolling your post, or people are just you get emails or phone calls that just don't make any sense. It's like, no, they think they own you. They do. And if that isn't dangerous enough, for someone to be walking around on this planet saying, you know what, I'm bored. Yeah, they're not doing this. Let me see if I can get under their skin. That is an unhinged person. That is a dangerous person. This is why I sit up here. Guys, the blueprint is in my bio. There are free audiobooks to help you make sense of this. And if you need more, just contact me. Free.
Yeah, because understanding what a narcissist is one part, but the second part is doing what you need to do to stop the habit.
Yeah.
Stop it. Because we can talk about them day in and day out and understand them. That's important, because once you name it,
right,
then it's power.
Yep.
But the second step is to stop the pattern, stop the habit.
Yes. What's that movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog's Day?
Yes.
It's that movie was funny, but imagine if that was dark. I mean, really dark. That's your life with the narcissist.
Oh yeah.
Every time you go back, you are reliving the same pain. And you know what? In case you don't understand it, this is the reason why you don't go back. In their mind, once you let them back in, hence the vampire thing we've been talking about all week, once you let them back in, they think a couple of things. They know that they deserve the treatment that I gave them. And you know what? They're stupid. So for me to teach them a lesson, I'm going to hurt them even more. Yeah. It gets ramped up. So while you're thinking that you can fix this person, you are literally you're writing yourself a permission slip to destroy your own life. Give up the freaking ghost. Give it up. How long do you have to be on a boat in the middle of the ocean, seeing it take on water and running around trying to stop the water from coming in, or getting your ass on a lifeboat and getting away from the boat? Which one makes more sense to you? That's what you're doing with the narcissist. You're trying to patch up holes that you see. That's why you're trying to patch them, because you actually see them. And
you're trying to put out dumpster fires.
Yeah.
And if you're the one that discarded them, you're the one that left them or broke up with them, and then you take on that Hoover and accept them back, you better watch out. Because they don't forget anything. They don't forget how much they did for you. They don't forget any single dime they spent on you. They don't forget what you said, and they're going to make you pay. You better watch out.
Yep.
They're transactional.
Yeah. Thank you. That is the word. Yeah, that is the word that kind of breaks it down. As Carl Jung would say, this is our problem, and I'm going to call it a problem because that's why we get trapped up in this. As empaths, okay, with those with high empathy, we have more emotional labor. That's why you keep on trying to fix this badish, crazy situation shit. Okay, fact. Narcissistic dynamics rely on emotional supply. Why do you think they frick with your last nerve all day long? You could be literally doing nothing, not interacting with anybody on your computer, on your phone, scrolling TikTok. You could be just not interacting with anybody. They're going to find a way to start a fight. They're going to find a way to start an argument. They're going to find a way to get an emotional response for you. This is why we walk on eggshells. When you're in these dynamics, you wake up literally with one eye, look over at them and be like, what are you going to drag me through today? Am I lying?
So true. No, no.
You know, it's because you get used to it, and that becomes your norm. That's the sad part about it. That becomes your norm, and that's why when you leave, that's why the silence feels deafening, where you are looking at your phone and you're saying, "Let me just see what they're doing," because you've gotten used to the chaos. Mm-hmm. 2 days alone, you're going stir crazy, but you got to stick with it. And ladies, tell me, am I false in saying this? Was the silence crazy?
No, it took me 8 weeks to regulate my nervous system and cortisol levels just to a functioning point. Because I felt like I felt like I had OCD or whatever it is where you can't sit still and you're just like it was a wild feeling. The withdrawal is really fascinating. And it is, and I've been through recovery, so I knew when I was in withdrawal, I'm like, holy shit, I'm in withdrawal, like I'm coming off of drugs. Like, what? How is this even humanly possible? Because when you're in it, you don't know that they're rewiring your brain and acting on all of these neural pathways that any addictive substance does. You don't know it when you're in it.
Yeah. You know, thanks for joining, King Anthony. Well, you know what, and I'm glad you brought that up because we become junkies to this person. We do. And again, this is not done by mistake. This is done on purpose. This is what they've learned to do throughout their life. It's called intermittent reinforcement. Okay? That is the feeling of what did I do wrong? When you're walking around looking at this person saying, what did I do wrong? Should I apologize? You know, did I say something wrong? Why are they treating me this way? You know, and then out the blue, they just when you're ready to give up hope and say there's nothing I can do, they come and they give you a hug or a kiss on the head or we haven't spent any time together. And that trains your brain. Okay, just like going to the corner and seeing that person out there that has a bag full of goodies, okay, it gives you that same feeling. You're waiting for that rush, but most importantly, you're waiting for the first time that you sampled this. The love bombing stage. You're trying to recapture that. It's not there. And they know
like a little reward system.
I said it's behavioral psychology.
It is.
It's like training a dog. It's like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah, it is.
And he would say to me, I'm not trying to program you. He would literally tell me what he was doing.
Yeah.
In a different way, you know? Yeah. The projection was always done so interestingly. And now that I look back on it, he was telling me, I'm programming you. But he's saying, I'm not programming you. Right. Nope, he's brainwashing me. Absolutely.
Right. You know,
and what's wild is that you when you come out of the relationship, you know that was the worst person on the planet for you, and you get out of the relationship, you're actually like waiting for that text notification sound to come through or for that email or whatever it is. Yeah, you just need that dopamine hit.
Yeah, like I said, we become a junkie.
How unhealthy is that?
Yeah. You know, who volunteers and wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a junkie, much less to the person that you think loves you. Again, they know exactly what they're doing. They've been practicing this their whole life. This is why you need to, as you know, Narc Talks and Narcastic has been saying, you need to work on an exit plan. You do. Take the revenge, put it in your pocket. It doesn't help anyway. I'm going to tell you firsthand, it doesn't help. Because, and I say this through many lives, that very act of revenge is to let somebody know that they hurt you, that they slighted you, that they did something wrong to you. That's why we seek revenge, right? So
that's the biggest waste of time, is trying to tell them that they hurt you or they've done something wrong. That it's you're talking to a brick wall or beating a dead horse is what I would call it, and going in circles. Leah, what did you all do to break the cycle and get out? Strategy is the most important word that minister has used. You have got to be strategic in nature and just as cunning as they are in your strategy, because they're always trying to be ahead of the game, especially when it comes to you. So, for instance, in the support group that I'm in on the school app, I can't tell you how many times I've seen these girls post, I told him I want a divorce. I'm like, that is the dumbest thing you could have ever done. Like, why did you tell him that? He's immediately going to start moving against you in his mind. You don't want to tell them you're leaving. Like, what? Yeah.
Thank you for answering.
To break the cycle, I started by watching patterns. I immersed myself in figuring out what the narcissist is, and that helped me to not get pulled into the manipulation that they're always dishing out.
Right.
So then that helped me to pull back into myself instead of being like, well, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And what can I, and being so drastic about it. It was more like, okay, let's just keep an eye on this, and observe and become the observer. You start to see them, you start to see your own self, and then that puts you right back in your place of power.
Yeah. For me, it was putting a name to it when I started to see, as Nartalk said, as I started to see the patterns, it was putting a name to it. So I kind of just researched it as much as I could. Actually created a book from what I learned. But yeah, I went strictly hardcore into the rabbit hole. I just put on gears, like, I'm going in, son. I'm going in to find out what this is all about. Because I could sense that something was wrong, and I started to sense that there was no way that I could fix this. I guess my nervous system had a moment of clarity and was like, you can't fix this. There's something wrong with this person. There's something wrong with her. And I think, and this is crazy because I think TikTok is psychic. I started coming across creators out the blue. Church of Real Talk has existed since 2024, but it was more about staying a positive individual. But all of a sudden, I'm getting stuff from We've Told Me and all these different creators, and I'm stopping and I'm like, oh wow. I'm looking over and I was like, this is the exact same thing that I be going through. And that opened up the floodgates because, again, if one creator is saying it, then yeah, it might be a coincidence. But I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 creators saying the same thing, the same pattern. There has to be something real about this, and that's how I began my journey to learning about narcissistic abuse and, more importantly, narcissistic Sam Batman. Yeah, most importantly, helping others. My nonprofit is actually based around trauma healing. Because I need, and I know I'm like a broken record. Empaths are going to actually help the world heal. Narcissists are not. So I need to save as many empaths as possible. And before I go further, Narcastic and Narc Talks. I'm actually doing it. My first one is going to be May 23rd in my area. Have you guys thought about doing groups? As far as sitting down in person. I don't know if your town is real hood or not. Have you guys? You have thought about that? What about you, Narcastic?
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love the somatic Saturdays. I'm going to be looking forward to that every week. That's kind of a way to sit down with the group too. But like something in person locally, that would be very, very awesome.
Yeah, I think because I'm doing mines at a local library, I just wanted to bring that around because I think that we need to do that more. I mean, this is, and thank you for joining, Dwayne Benjamin. I think that we need to do this more, and especially in person, because I mean, not everybody, uses TikTok except to get their little information and little laughs and stuff like that. But I think if something was done within the communities, I think almost like AA meetings. I mean,
how are you doing the PR behind that to get people to know that you're doing it and where it's at, and to find out about it?
So my nonprofit is located in Camden County in Jersey. So I belong to like a ton of different groups. I use LinkedIn. I print flyers. I put them around in laundromats along with the QR code for the Healing Library. So people can actually see. So I've been lucky. I mean, I'm not super popular online, but I think between all of my accounts, including Nextdoor, that's kind of important because that's community based. I think I have about maybe 15,000 followers between YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those different things if you bundle it together. And I kind of, like today, I did volunteer work. I was talking to the guy, I was like, he wants to put on a Wellness Wednesday. And I was like, listen, if I could, would you allow a mental health professional come in because that's what I do? Not me, but an actual, person with alphabet soup behind their name. And he was like, yeah, let's stay in contact. So I think part of it is reaching out. If you're active in your church, I think churches will actually give you the space, to actually hold, what, how long is an AA meeting? 2 hours max?
Probably, yeah. Sounds about right.
So if you,
it's been a while.
Yeah, if you can give 2 hours back to your community, I think that will be a good thing. I'm always looking for ways to, not just because Minister Robinson and I got church real soul. It's the impact of me. I'm always looking for different ways to help people. Library doesn't cost me anything. They're not going to charge me, And if I need to, I think the branch that I'm going to will hold 30 people comfortably. So, yeah, I mean,
even outdoors, you can do something outdoors in
nature. Right. I don't want to, because I could have done a meetup, but meetup that actually costs money. You got to pay for the whole year in advance. So, hey, Heiko, thank you for joining. And Narcastic is headed into work. Well, get back to me. You got my information. Get back to me. If you guys, I think you guys should, because you bring a lot to the table. You guys bring a lot to the table, and I think other people are ready to bring something to the table. So I think that's a good thing. We can do something like that for the community. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, I've already envisioned it, but I think for you, your influence in my life has been great so far, and I really appreciate it. Like I've been talking about, you've been like a fire. You're like, let's do this. Let's do it. Like, what are you doing? Well, let's do this. And I love that because like it's given me an outlet to share my neurosomatic teachings and that I've been kind of sitting on since 2022. Okay. Because of the back and forth with the narcissist, of course.
Right.
So, but I think that because I had that relationship, I thought it was separate. For some reason, I thought, well, I can't do neurosomatic yoga until I'm fully healed from this narcissist. Yeah. But to me, now I look at it, I'm like, oh, no, they go hand in hand because now I'm well trained in that.
Yeah.
And even though I don't, it seems kind of like, okay, well, and it's necessary.
Yeah. And I think that the thing is, I've always been a project driven person. And I think I lost. I think that's why I do so much now is because I lost that part of me while I was in that last dynamic. It was just like I didn't want to do anything because it always brought frustration to me. You know, it was always something where they made me feel, and I haven't seen this puzzle in I don't know how long, where they made me feel as if, me doing the things that I love to do, smashing goals, me doing that became a problem, and I'm just glad now I don't have that influence in my life anymore. I can wake up in the morning and say, hey, let's go do this. Hey, let's do this. Let's do this. And that's a good feeling to know that I'm reclaiming myself. And that's what I want everybody that comes into these lives to do. Reclaim yourself. It didn't go anyplace. They just lied and threw a blanket over it because you were shining too bright.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't know.
And also, like, I didn't want him to know what I was up to because, like, yeah, like you said, like, if they see you shining too bright,
Mm-hmm.
they throw a monkey wrench in your stuff and they distract you. They take your focus.
Yeah.
That was a major thing, taking my focus, and it wasn't even. It didn't seem like it was like too dramatic or chaotic. It was just a continual.
Mm-hmm.
Him calling me on the phone, him, like in the background getting upset and angry with, his life circumstances and,
Yeah.
oh God, I lost my keys, I lost this, I did this, and it's like, and I couldn't just zone him out. I mean,
Yeah.
I eventually I could zone him out, but
Yeah.
I mean, but for the most part, in the beginning, especially, I would try to help him and try to solve his problems before I could even
Yeah.
be at ease.
Right.
So they create this dysregulation within you that makes your mind just scattered and like
Yeah.
dysregulated.
Yeah.
So, but now that now that he's gone out of my life, I can have that glow up that I've been waiting for.
Right. Right. And hi, Petty LaBelle. Thank you for joining Dava Live. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is what I want people to start doing. Again, and Heiko says, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise because if I didn't have to deal with it, I wouldn't be doing this now. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. And it's like Carl Jung, says, you have to deal with the things inside of you. Once you deal with those demons inside of you, other people's demons, they won't be as effective, meaning the narcissist won't be able to affect you the way that they did in the beginning, or in the midsection. So yeah, I used to feel sorry for myself, you know. Again, coming out of that, I felt like it was the pity parade thing inside of me. And then, I'm like, okay, so what use am I not only to just myself, but to the rest of humanity? If I let this break me. And in a sense, it was like I couldn't let this demon win. I couldn't. So I said, okay, you need to heal. And don't get me wrong, healing is not about me coming up here doing lives to smear anybody else. That's not it. This is me being me. If you can look back to my social media 10 years ago, this has always been me. But there's a time period where it stopped, where I stopped being me because of someone else's input. There was a time where I didn't wake up. It's like I tell my daughters, that, oh, I slept in. I was like, you should never sleep in. As a child, you should want to jump out of bed every day is a new adventure. I lost that while I was in that dynamic. Because even as old as I am, every day is a new freaking adventure. Part of me, and I'll say this, before I let you jump in, no talks. I'll say this. New York City. I don't know if anybody's ever lived or been to New York City. One of the things, this is the little kid in me. One of the things I commuted to work. I lived in Rockaway, Queens, like the butt end of New York City. And for most of my life, I worked in Manhattan. I hung out in Manhattan. Manhattan was my place. So what I would do is I would put my token in back then or swipe my Metro card, and now it's an Omni card. But I would get on the train, go onto the platform, and I would stop and think and say to myself, what train car am I going to get into? Because in my mind, every train car had the potential to be its own separate adventure. We lose that with the narcissist. We lose that sense of adventure. We lose the child inside of us. We lose the greatness inside of us based on an illusion. And we need to figure out a way, and this is so important. Again, the blueprint is my bio. Go listen to a free audiobook. Okay, it's an hour. Drive to work, listen to half of it. Drive back home, listen to the other half. Or if you take the train, put in your headphones and listen to it. You know, that doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't. That's up to you if you feel you need more. That's up to you if you feel you're at the point where you could utilize a course. That's up to you if you want to do one-on-ones. That's up to you. Thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate you, Aiko. You know, you you've always known what's right for you. You just listened to a piece of crap that was trying to impress on you what they couldn't be. So they needed to keep that down. They needed to subdue that. That light couldn't keep on shining. It couldn't. And you spent years or sometimes even decades listening to this. It affected you. But that doesn't mean that you can't go back to being you. As long as you're taking in oxygen, you can go back to being you. Trust me. It's possible. I'm living proof. Not talks is living proof. Nartastic is living proof. You can go back to being you no matter what they said. And you know, 9 times out of 10, when you look at their life, who are they to make judgment on how people should live their life? Let's be honest here. You slept next to this person. Would you actually decide to make, well, I'm going to make you a demigod because you can show people how they should live their life? Would you do that? Would you? Would you make them hell? The ruling factor in a small, teeny tiny island. You know this person. Would you do it? That's what I'm saying. There's actually hope. You can see the horizon. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to decide that you're going to get rid of the illusion. And Heiko M says it made me transform spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. I'm a complete different and better person. That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you, Debbie, for joining. Yeah, what do you guys say about that non talks? And when is your next class?
It will be Saturday at the same time, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 11 a.m. for you guys on the East Coast, and then 10 Central Time. I know there's Mountain Time in between there. I think it's 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, all I know is Eastern Time.
Okay, I don't know. Wait, am I? Is it? I think it might be off.
No, I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, I got a visitor.
No, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. I'm getting ready to get off soon anyway. But guys, I want you guys to go ahead and I want you guys to continue to heal. Okay, it's a decision you have to make. You know, how much are you going to pour into this person that basically tells you every freaking day they don't care about you just by their actions. You know, if God sent them to level me up, only way I can look at it, forgive them because they don't know. Actually, I get what you're saying. I do. However, they do know. I'm sorry. They do know. It's a dysfunction where they actually know at all times what they're doing. So I agree with the rest of your statement, but I don't want people, because that gives people hope, Heiko. It gives them hope that this person can be fixed. It's not an illness. They call it a disorder. Okay, it's not an illness. It's not something that you can go get a couple of Tylenols and say, okay, you're cured. It's not something you can make an appointment at the physician's office and they're going to ask them a few questions and send them the PT. it doesn't work that way, you know. And Heiko M says they had to leave. That's the only chance that you have. The only choice that you have is to leave. But in order for you to leave, I'm going to tell you something. In order for you to leave, you have to actually accept the truth. And that's what's holding so many of these people back. They do not, they do not want to accept the truth. And what is the truth? And this is going to sting. They never loved you. They never cared about you. All they wanted to do after the love bombing stage was to hurt you. So walk away with that. Hold that close. Do like Carl Jung said. Actually, do the inner work. Figure out how you got there. What you needed because you needed something. Okay? You needed something. That's why you got trapped up in it. And you didn't understand what it was that you needed because you probably would listen to your nervous system day one. So with that being said, you have to decide what's best for you. Again, the blueprint up there in my bio. You know, Nog Talks this Saturday. Come, go follow her so that you can get an invite, so you can join us on Zoom. So we do the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, well, the whole community. Well, hopefully the whole community will be there. But we started a little community, and we're here to support, listen. We hold sacred space, and it's a safe space. It's on Zoom, so
yeah.
And what we talk about during the Somatic Saturday is we talk about the narcissistic dynamic,
okay,
and then how the dynamic shaped our nervous system, and then we do a nervous system reset, and then we focus. Also, we set goals for moving forward with wisdom, and we do it in a safe environment where we're all supportive of each other, and we laugh. We have a good time. I think it's a great place. That way I think I like the Zoom. You love it. I do too because I like the Zoom because we don't know who's lurking behind the viewers here. Someone might be lurking. Someone might be listening in. If they know you're on a live, you know, we don't know. But in the Zoom, you get an invite because you're part of the community already.
Yeah, I love it.
So, and it's free until I get my wheels rolling, and it won't be expensive at all. It's going to be offered at a very low, doable rate.
Awesome.
So that way,
awesome.
Yeah. And I really do believe in immersing yourself in knowing the narcissist and knowing yourself and doing the work.
That's what's up.
Until you can have that glow up.
I love that. Thank you, Heiko. I appreciate the heart me. I definitely appreciate it. Guys, I have to get off, but I'll be back at 8. Seems like this is my life. Yeah, I did study a lot. Yeah, so I'll be back at 8. Hopefully, you guys will see fit to join us. I think we're going to actually share this out because somebody needs to hear this truth. Somebody, it's good to meet you as well, Heiko. You know, someone needs to understand that the title of this live, they didn't love you. They actually needed you. You know, what do you want to say to close this out, Nog Talks?
I would just like to say that I want to say thank you to you for continuing to do this and finding this to be your passion and giving me an outlet. And I think we're building a good community here. I think I've already said that, but yeah, it's definitely giving me something else to do besides focusing on what did I do wrong. Yeah. And it's you know, giving me a place to practice my knowledge and help share.
That's what's up. So yes, I want to thank you guys, everybody that's joined. Again, Blueprint is in my bio. You know, there's free resources. Not everything is a course. Not everything is behind the paywall. So what I want you guys to do is very important. I say this after every live. I need you guys to stay powerful. I need you guys to keep healing. And the reason why I do everything that I do, love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Or see ya.
And it won't cut off. TikTok hates me. It won't let me leave the live. There it goes. There it goes. Thank you.